At the start of March, both J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs predicted gold would soon hit $3,000 per ounce. By the middle of March, it had happened. Now Goldman just predicted gold will hit $3,700 by the end of this year and $4,000 by mid-2026. Call the proud Americans of the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer 7 years in a row. Call 888-753-1647. Good afternoon. I'm still reporting on Maria Bartiromo's Sunday morning show with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. In the first segment of Maria's Sunday morning show, Kash Patel says he now knows that the likes of Jim Comey, McCabe, and Strzok and Company deliberately lied to a federal court, then rigged a federal election that caused Joe Biden to become an illegitimate president.
Director, you've said many times that the FBI has been politicized. So what are your plans to rebuild trust in this fine institution and depoliticize the FBI?
So we have a multi-part process. First of all, our priorities, simple: crush violent crime, defend the homeland, rigorous organizational accountability, and the fourth, which leads directly to your question, aggressive constitutional oversight with Congress. What we need America to know is that this place was politicized, and Congress has rightfully requested the documents from Crossfire Hurricane to January 6th to the Richmond Catholic Memo and so much more. But now finally Americans are reading for themselves the documentation where a very select few leaders in the former FBI decided to politicize it.
I watched it with you and Devin Nunes when you were truth tellers on all of this, and you were as well, Dan, throughout the Russia collusion story and the rest.
Look, I can speak to the folks that were in our seats, our predecessors, and they intentionally failed the American public by putting on the biggest DC deception game we've ever seen. They said the FBI was the most storied institution for law enforcement, and it was. And it will be again very soon. But when the likes of Comey and McCabe and Strzok and Company came in here with the James Bakers of the world and intentionally lied to a federal court only to rig a presidential election.
Yup, there it is. Patel is now the director of the FBI, and he now knows that the election was rigged and that Comey was in on it.
By lying to the American public and using taxpayer dollars, likely illegally, to fund this entire operation and then withhold exculpatory information from a federal court that I used to appear before to manhunt terrorists, that's what broke the FBI. And then when they were caught, they lied about it. And you and a few others like Dan and others were brave enough to cover it 6, 7, 8 years ago. And we're still talking about it today because as Congress is working rigorously with us, the Crossfire Hurricane documents are coming fast and hard. And they're being sent there unredacted so we can have full accountability.
Accountability for it? The fact that the 5-year statute of limitations has run, they have found a way to prosecute some of these big-time grifters that ran the FBI, and that will be very interesting if true.
And that's how you restore what the trust that was lost to the American public when it comes to the FBI.
Yeah, but come on, Director, with all due respect, we've been talking about this for a long time, and I've been demanding accountability for many, many years. You mentioned Comey, Strzok, and the rest. They've got TV shows. They've got media platforms. They're fine. There's been no accountability.
Well, look, it's a fair criticism, but what I will tell people is we weren't here in the FBI in the last 5 years when we had statute of limitations that were still in play, where we could have investigated criminal conduct. Most of these statute of limitations are 5 years old. And we will investigate criminal conduct where we find a righteous case to do so, and the law and the facts allow us to. But a lot of it we're precluded from. So we'll take the criticism, and it's rightfully so. That could we have done more in the past? Sure, people before us could have. But what we can do now is continue to put out the documents and the information that these people withheld from the American public. And I'm just telling you right now, as much as we know about Crossfire Hurricane, he and I just found out more last week. And we're continuing to work with Congress to put those documents out. That's how vindictive and vicious the former leadership structure here was. Not only did they bastardize the FISA process and lie to the American public, they withheld and hid documentation and put it in rooms where people weren't supposed to look. And it's a good thing we're here now to clean it up, and you're about to see a wave of transparency.
What do you mean?
Just give us about a week or two.
Okay. Well, I can tell you right now that the judge that gave a smack on the wrist on the one agent that lied and, misled the American people, that's the same judge who's back and stopping Donald Trump from doing things, isn't it? Judge Boasberg?
Yeah, I just got to push back. Listen, we've been here 2 months. He's been here a couple more weeks than that. I mean, we've been here 2 months. You're dealing with a 38,000 member organization and an approximately $12 billion budget.
Fair point.
Where to expect us in 2 months to dig up what was a 8-year, maybe longer, multi-year politicized investigation with multiple layers of processes, from Woods procedures being just thrown in the garbage can and flushed down the toilet bowl, to multiple layers of accountability where people lied and obfuscated.
But are you saying you found things that even you didn't know about? I mean, you were
Yes.
at the core of this.
Yes.
Yes.
I was the lead Russiagate investigator for the House Intelligence Committee. And I've been on both your shows in a prior life talking about it. And I'm telling you and the American public that we have now found material and information and people who wanted to hide it from the world since we got in these seats. And we, as the deputy said, we are trying to do it in a fashion where not only are we informing the American public of what happened, but we can have accountability for it. And that takes a little bit more time. And when you layer on the fact that we are rolling out our priorities on violent crime and defending the homeland, we're running a 3-part animal here, and we're going 100 miles an hour on each single one.
So important.
Wait, I want to add to that, too, because what the director's saying is right. You got to remember, we come in the morning, there's a portfolio of 100 level 10 items. If it's a level 9, which is a pretty big freaking deal, someone else fixed it. The only thing that gets to my desk or his is a level 10. That's the entire day. Look at his schedule any given day. I'll show you the palm card I have. It is filled from 7:30 to he leaves 7 at night, 6:30 at night. It's filled all day.
Now, the Democrats are turning on you, right? I mean, I saw your hearing the other day, and critics have accused you of using the FBI to target political enemies. So set the record straight. You wrote an entire book about it, Government Gangsters. Tell us, how do you respond to the attacks?
Very simply, the FBI's prior leadership left us an institution, that is a police force for America and the world, that allowed a fentanyl overdose to occur and kill an American citizen every 7 minutes. That prior FBI's leadership, Comey, McCabe, left us an FBI that allowed for a woman or child to be raped every 6.5 minutes in this country. That same leadership structure left us an FBI that permitted a man or woman to be killed twice an hour in this country. That's our response to them. When I go to Congress and I go to the Hill, I say, hey, I'm not policing your neighborhood because it's a Republican or Democratic. I'm asking you for help on what your priorities are and what your resources needs are and where you need training, and we're going to send them to you. That's why we're putting 1,500 FBI employees into the field and outside of Washington, D.C. Now, if the Democrats want to play politics with that, they're the elected officials. They get to say what they want. But yelling at me and Bongino, we could take it all day long.
I don't even understand why. Why did they do that? I mean, why put the FBI and its reputation at risk? What, it was just to win an election? Why?
Because they're weak. Because they're weak. I hate weak people. I can't stand it. They didn't have, we're on TV, so I already said BS once, but they didn't have the guts, the courage, or the character to do the right thing. They did the easy thing. Donald Trump became a convenient political football.
I know that there are cells, drug trafficking cells and human trafficking cells. How significant is this in America?
It's everywhere. I mean, when you open up the border, look, that's not a political statement. The border was open for 4 years. So what happens is crime metastasizes. What happens is you have hundreds of thousands of illegals come across, and a bunch of them are really bad criminals. Not all of them, but a bunch of them. And then they nest into societies. And this is why we're rolling out Mexican street gang task forces across the country, because it's not the international gangs that are just the problem. It's these inner city gangs that exist in 1 or 2 towns here and there and have metastasized and taken over the drug trade, the sex trafficking trade, the child forced labor trade, and the gang trade. They are all in, and no one has been focusing on them because our cities and our elected leadership has allowed them to live without being policed. But that's over now that Dan and I are in the seat.
This is so scary. What do you want to say to families out there, mothers who are afraid for their young girls that they may get taken?
I want to put everyone at ease watching this today. There is, I hate cliches, but there really is a new sheriff in town. His name is Donald J. Trump. The attitude every morning from the president on down, he, the president of the United States, wants this FBI to be able to, in 1 month, 6 months, a year, or 2 years, wants to be able to get out in front of the American people and say, your lives are noticeably different. He doesn't want fairy tales, Aesop's fables. He doesn't want any of that stuff. He wants people to be able to touch it and feel it. I don't care if you're in Stewart, Florida, or Harlem, New York. He wants you to walk outside and say, wow, my neighborhood does look different.
Where are the biggest cells in the country? And how does it work? Are there spotters? Like, how does it work?
It's based on a variety of factors. So when it comes to trafficking, you got to look at the interstate system and look at the intersections of the interstate system running through the Midwest and across the country. Then you just got to look for hard evidence. I didn't know this till my confirmation process, but Memphis, Tennessee is the homicide capital of America per capita. Didn't know that. We have a problem there. We're now addressing it. We're rolling out one of our task forces in the state of Tennessee. But we also know that Ohio possesses the roadway system where the trafficking is through the roof just because of the interstate. So you have to get out there in the field, not just let the FBI agents and intel folks get out there and do the work, but partner with state and local law enforcement, which is a priority, and tribal law enforcement. That's a big, big deal for us. We are not forgetting about Indian country. They suffer from the same violent crime that we do in the rest of America, and we're going to help them. And that's how you learn the ground-based level facts that you need to deploy our assets. We're not coming up with anything fancy. We're just attacking the problem, but we're smart enough to go after the information and say, that's where the problem is because you told us it's there. Now we know we're going.
That's interesting. What about the big cities? I mean, we've heard about Tren de Aragua being in New York City.
Yeah, we're about to ruin your summer if you're a bad guy. So I'm just warning you now, like, don't buy movie tickets because you're probably not going to cash them in. So the director and I put something together in conjunction with our DOJ partners, General Bondi and Dag Blanche, actually this morning. And if you're a violent criminal, this FBI under our leadership, we don't care who gets the credit. All we care about is making your streets safer, actually safer.
Coming up, the assassination attempts on President Trump's life. Why don't we know more today, more than a year later, as we continue our exclusive from the FBI?